quite honestly, it came out of a failed attempt to get a grant to start a mentoring program. We were interested in doing some mentoring programs in the schools for some of the students with disabilities. And so we applied for a grant, we didn't get it. And that was really a blessing because we said, hey, this is something, and we took it in a different direction. But when we talk about failure, it doesn't have to be the end of the world. You can learn from failure. That we point to that example. And our goal is really twofold: to challenge the students that we say have disabilities to look at their abilities as leaders in the community, whatever level they could reach. And secondly, to impact the community and change the culture of the community as how they look at people. You know, our logo now says, if in developmental disabilities, our logo, the word develop and abilities are highlighted so they stand out because that's what we want to focus on. Well, there's 3 or 4 reasons as to why we want to do that. Okay. One, it's the right thing. Just helping people be a part of their community. And that's part of our responsibility as a county government agency, is to support people in the community with those disabilities and help them just enter into the community. Secondly, there's some administrative pieces behind that. It gets very costly to support people in a kind of a rigid system where we don't really help them become part of their community, where we keep them kind of segregated. That's rather costly. And a lot of our dollars come from local taxes. So if we can help people be more independent, we're not chopping into the tax dollars so much. There are some people that need us 24/7, but the people that don't, we need to help them become more independent so we can really put our tax dollars where they're really needed. To sustain services over a longer period of time, we're looking down the road, not just next year, but 10, 15, 20 years down the road. What are we going to be doing? Because our numbers keep increasing. In 2005, I think we served a little less than 300 people. In 2020, we served 405, I think. So our numbers keep growing, and we just looked at the data. We grow by, on average, about 8 people a year. So in 10 years, we're another 80 people. And to sustain that, we need to have other ways of encouraging people to tap into their community, just to live the life they want to live, rather than depend on us to take care of them. Yes, that's one of the reasons for the focus, to help people understand that you don't just have to sit back and wait on someone to come to you and bring you something, but there's no reason why, if you feel confident, and you heard some of the things today about people getting the confidence to speak up, getting the confidence to address some issues, getting people to understand you have the right and a sense of responsibility, if you can do that, to speak out and to help move things in a direction that benefits you and that you want to see happen, whether it's in your personal life, in your family life, in your community, in your school, in your church. In those areas where you live, you have the ability to speak out. And so challenging them to think about leadership and see themselves as leaders is probably the best way to do that. Plus, quite honestly, our culture right now needs people who will step up and lead. So it's challenging people to take those abilities and use them. You heard that today, just tremendously responding. And I find it very interesting because I've seen that. The student who comes in and who, I don't like this class, I don't want to be here, wasting my time. And over time you see them, you heard some of them talking today, that, hey, I turned my thinking clear around because I realized not only was this interesting, but it was beneficial and helped me get focused on my life and thinking about the things that are important to me, and then that kind of ripples out into their community. So we hope we'll impact the entire community through this. You've got to try it. You have to try it and give it a chance. Give it a year, because that's what we have seen. You start out and you feel like you're kind of pushing uphill until you hit that point at which people suddenly, it's like the light bulb goes off, and they develop relationships, they develop those friendships, they begin to grow, and you see that it does make a difference to people. But a lot of people just don't want to make that investment up front to try it. And if you don't try it, you'll never get anywhere. I can tell you how it will go if you never try. I can't tell you how it will go if you try, except I can pretty much tell you it's going to change. What it will be is going to a large extent depend on how much work you want to put into it. So, but if you don't try, you'll never get anywhere. That the facilitator, when you're dealing with especially high school students, they can see right through you. If you're fake, if you're not walking the talk, they'll see right through you and they won't listen and pay any attention. So it challenges you as a facilitator to say, oh, I got to pay attention to this and start examining some things. But what we have found within our agency, what we have found is that it challenges the facilitator to look at themselves personally as well as professionally. It's not designed necessarily that way, but it's a side benefit that we find is tremendous to us as an agency. And so as our staff folks become involved in facilitating, they start to grow. And it benefits us because they see themselves as leaders, and their professional growth just makes us a stronger and better agency. So when we developed the material and began the program, we didn't think about that, but we see that. It's a great benefit to us. Again, that's not something we necessarily could work into a textbook or a curriculum, but the concepts of integrity, the concepts of a positive mental attitude, even the concept of living your dreams, it challenges you to start thinking and looking inside. And as people embrace those concepts, they start living them. It's not a religion, it's not a psychiatric anything. It's just, quite honestly, it's common sense. It's pure common sense that if you understand these principles and you practice them, your life will change. And that's what we're asking folks, again, from our perspective as an agency to support people with developmental disabilities in the community. We want their lives to change. We want them to see the possibilities. We want them to see their abilities. We want them to reach as far as they can reach. And so at whatever level people are, that starts to impact them, whether you're a facilitator or a participant, and whatever abilities or different abilities you have, it starts challenging you to look at those things, and you just reach. We talk about one small step, so you start taking one small step and suddenly you realize I'm a lot further than I ever thought I would be. And it just becomes a way of life to people. They start thinking before they speak. They start making decisions based on more facts, and they start saying no to things that they really aren't interested in, or they start saying, I don't need your approval. I don't know if you heard the one young man to say that he left friends, he left people that he had known for a long time because they were a negative influence in his life. Nobody told him he had to change. He'd made that decision himself to change his lifestyle. So, and again, we don't tell people, you got to change who you are. We just work through the material, we have the discussions and the conversations, and they make their decisions. But we tell people, our goal is not to tell people what to think, is how to think. How to think. And then where your thinking takes you, that's your life.
Perfect.
So, but it's just tremendous to watch the change that's taking place in people's lives. And for me, there's a personal side just to see people challenging themselves to be more independent and be better. And then there's the administrative side, part of my professional career, to say, we're helping cut costs down the road because people are more independent. And there's nothing like, sometimes it's a struggle when people say, I don't need you. Oh, well, we're the agency who's supposed to help. You don't need my help? If you don't need my help, that's good for you. So, and ultimately, we want to support people to be as independent as they can be. And we'll help people where they need our support, and where they don't need us, we hope they'll tell us to leave them alone and live their life.